Alcoholism does more than affect our families, our jobs, and our social life. It affects everything, including our health. This is the Speakeasy Philosophy Podcast with Silent E, a podcast for the alcoholic looking for information, for guidance, and solutions. Your host is dedicated to helping you move beyond your addiction, finding your way back to health of mind, body, and spirit. Relax and listen. Here's your host, Silent E.
I'm excited by seeing a day I never saw before. I'm excited about meeting people I never met before, and I'm excited about learning things I never knew before. I'm excited! This is your host, Silent E, and this is my very first podcast. My philosophy is unique because I have over 30 years of addiction, so I have the heart and the mind of an alcoholic. But I was raised in the Christian home, therefore I have the doctrine and the theology of Christ. Please say not to yourself, you're a new creature by the renewing of your mind. Yes, you're absolutely correct, but there's a residue of 30 years I take to the grave with me. I created this podcast to shed light on the very dark subject of alcoholism. I'm not big on statistics, but 88,000 people in America die every year due to alcoholism. And if that's not terrifying enough, America don't even make the list of the top 10 countries that's having alcoholic crisis. Throughout the pandemic years, alcoholism has really been running rampant and unchecked throughout this world. But I just want to come to encourage those that want to be encouraged and give hope to the hopeless and enlighten those with the knowledge of Christ. And to let everyone in the world know that someone cares about the alcoholic. I like to take 2 seconds out to quantify what alcoholism truly is. And it's a lot of moving parts concerning this disease. Yes, this disease. 1, it's a disease. 2, it's mental illness. And 3, it's a demonic spirit. Please say not to yourself that alcoholism is not a medical condition. Alcoholism is an abnormal condition. There's nothing normal about a man not having the ability to function every day without drinking. There's nothing normal about a man that's willing to drink himself to death. The disorder of structure and function of alcoholism, I liken it unto a tree, but not just any old tree, the Chesapeake tree, because the Chesapeake oak tree has so many branches, and them branches have branches, and those branches have branches, and they continue to grow. There are so many branches in the tree of alcoholism that alone should qualify as a disease. I paint this portrait of a tree because there's so many branches to this tree. There's so many extenuating circumstances that drove people to become a branch of this tree. Most are victims, no fault of their own. There were some that drank till it became a problem. Then you have others that the problems of life were so overwhelming that they turned to the bottle for solace. There's a dark side of this tree that their branches never seen the light of day. Their branches never felt the warmth of the sun due to an oversight or maybe that rambunctious uncle that just couldn't keep his hands to himself. And they turned to the bottle for shame. And then there's a branch in this tree that never tasted the wine, that has never indulged in the poisonous fruit. And you see them every day in the throughway, the alleyway, and they sleeping in the gutter. But you call them drunk. They're victims of circumstances. They're victims of mental illness. I will go far as to say that they're controlled by demonic spirits. Yes, I'm bold enough to step out on a limb to say every addiction is a demonic spirit, but that's a podcast for another day. The Chesapeake is a proud tree that has many branches, and them branches have branches, and they continue to grow. I'm not waxing poetic, but what I want you to understand, what I need you to understand, is that nobody escapes her shadow, because we all have family members that's a branch of this tree. There's a branch in this tree that comes from a solid home with 2 working parents and 5 siblings, but he always felt that he didn't have enough attention from his parents. He remembered being 8 years old when Christmas came, and all he wanted was the G.I. Joe with the Kung Fu grip, but he was met with disappointment, and when he tried to discuss how he felt, it was to no avail. But the following year, he was met with the same disappointment, and all he wanted was the Rock'em Sock'em robot. When he was 10 years old, he asked for an easy bake oven. All he wanted to do was bake some happiness into his life. All he wanted to do was bake some joy into his life. All he wanted to do was bake some chocolate chip cookies with a little sprinkles of love, but he was met by disdain and brutal words from his father, saying that the toy was too feminine for a boy, and most of all, his son. The boy was so mad in a drunken fury that he checked out a long time ago. See, he's not actually a branch in this tree. He's an offshoot coming from the bottom of the tree, growing parallel to the ground. But nonetheless, he's still in the tree. The fruit of this poisonous tree produces a proud look. The alcoholic can't look beyond the bottle, and you can't look past the bottle to see the commonality of every branch in this tree. Stems from pain, hurt, and anguish. I'm not talking about the collective. I'm talking about an individual branch that drafted us into the shadow of this tree. In order for you to understand what I just said, you will need 4 Bibles, a Ouija board, and an arborist to explain to you what I just said. Alcoholism is running amok throughout this nation, and we could no longer afford to turn a blind eye to the subject of alcoholism. Believe me when I tell you, every home in America is affected by this disease. You see it every day. Either you holding the sign or you reading the sign. Either you living in the tent city or you driving past a tent city. Brother, can you help me, please? I'm 20 cents short of a cup of coffee. I'm 80 cents short of a cheeseburger. No one escapes the shadow of this tree because the tree itself is rooted in a demonic spirit. Let us unpack this word demonic. Characteristics of demons or evil spirits. On the south side, they just say liquor stores. But on the north side, they say wines and spirits. What type of spirits? Evil spirits. People, all we talking about is the Chesapeake, one of the largest oak trees in America. This tree is huge and it has massive branches, and them branches have branches, and those branches have branches, and they continue to grow. Some branches were drafted into the tree because they grew up in an alcoholic home, and their childhood was met with broken dreams, broken promises, and a house full of empty bottles. The marrow stem of these branches grew out of pain, hurt, and suffering. And the root cause of all this pain stems from a demonic spirit. Silent E, every tree needs light to grow. Yes, but this tree does not grow in the light. It grows in the darkness. It was forged from the pit of hell with one purpose and for one purpose only, to destroy what's left of the fabric of humanity. People, wake up. We're not in an opiate crisis. We're not in a heroin crisis. We're not in the alcoholic crisis. We're in a love crisis. The Bible says that the love of many have waxed cold. Let me ask a question. How many laws have been passed? How many politicians have passed laws to alleviate this problem, and they send the police out to do their bidding, and the police will arrest one, and before they get him to the station to book him, it's 3 more standing there with signs? How many times a police have towed down one tent, and before they get him behind bars, overnight it's a whole tent city built? What I'm saying in the flesh, I need you to see this in the spirit. You cannot take a worldly law and apply it to spiritual laws. You can't miss this by yourself. You can't miss this by yourself. You'll actually have to pay somebody to help you miss this. People, you cannot take a worldly law and apply it to spiritual things. The laws of this world will never usurp spiritual laws. Spiritually, the devil kingdom is multiplying because you have no love in your heart. Please say not to yourself that I show them love, I show them kindness, I show them charity, because I give them money, I give them food, I give them clothes. Then the question I have for you is, why are you giving and to whom? Are you giving out of pity? Are you giving because it's a disease? Are you giving because of their mental health condition? Or are you helping them raise an altar unto their God? In other words, you're not the solution. You part of the problem because you giving and don't understand the spiritual ramifications of giving. My Bible tells me if you have a root of bitterness, if you have a root of unforgiveness, if you have a root of pride, if you have any kind of discord against your brethren, and you choose to give your offering, you choose to give your gift, you giving it unto Satan. You part of the problem, because they don't need tangible things. They need things from up on high. Bread of heaven, feed me till I want no more. They need things from above and not from beneath. They need that agape that's so rooted in Christ that when you get through interceding on their behalf, when you get through with your intercessory prayer, everyone under the sound of your voice will come running saying, "What must I do to be saved?" All we talking about is an oak tree that has many branches, and them branches has branches, and those branches have branches, and they continue to grow. You really don't see it? You really don't understand it? That Jesus, being the son of a carpenter, can take the wood out of this tree and build a house for the homeless? He can splinter the depraved mind to wellness, plank the brokenhearted, and build a fence that the gates of hell cannot prevail against it. And ye, being the son of a carpenter, have the same abilities as Jesus to take the wood out of this tree and build a house for the homeless, take the wood out of this tree and mend the brokenhearted, but you can't mend the broken heart because your heart was never healed. You can't help the mental illness because you're double-minded. And the gates of hell are not only prevailing, but they're winning. Can I speak plain English for a moment? Every bar in this world is doing the devil's bidding, but secretly, the alcoholics are murmuring and whispering about a Messiah that's coming to save them. But Jesus is not coming, because he endowed us with powers from on high that we should be able to go into any bar in this world and take the wood out of every bar, take the wood out of every room and build it into a mansion for the glory of God. Once we declare the bar the house of God and start doing the bidding of Jesus, then and only then can we take the branches that was growing in the darkness and bring them to the marvelous light. The harsh reality is, if addiction is not an unwanted guest in your home today, tomorrow she will be beating down your door. No one is exempt. Everybody has a hand in this problem, and everybody gonna have to be able to come together to create a solution. Please search your hearts and find this evidence to be true, that we no longer serving the Creator, we serving the creature. We live in our ivory towers and look down our nose and have the nerves, the audacity to say those people. The reason this economy is in trouble is because those people. The reason the value of our land is decreasing is because those people. The reason we can't take our kids to the public parks are because those people. The reason we can't walk in our neighborhoods at night is because of those people. If we don't turn our hearts back to God, those people today might be you tomorrow. Let us juxtapose for a moment two schools of thought. First, that the light shined in the darkness, which is Jesus, and the darkness comprehended it not. Or the darkness was so great that it expelled the light? Are you taking the position that every branch in this tree is an individual problem and not a societal problem? Are you telling me that every branch in this tree became a branch by their own omission and there's nobody's fault but their own? Dear sir, dear madam, if you truly believe that, I wonder how great is the darkness in you. This is not about who's right or wrong. This is not about the blame game, because we all know that blame is a tool of Satan. All I'm saying is that we all play a part and we all have a hand in this tree. I'm not big on statistics, but I want you to understand, I need you to understand the gravity of what I'm saying. 88,000 people in America die every year due to alcoholism. That's 88,000 souls that could have been saved. That's 88,000 souls that was part of this tree. We're not losing our loved ones to addiction. We're losing our loved ones because the world is turning cold. What say you? What has my love to do with the addict? What has my love to do with their addiction? What has my love to do with all the tent cities that's popping up throughout this country? There's a tree in this world that's so massive. Some even call it the biggest tree in the world. It has all the characteristics of a tree, but it's not a tree at all. It's so massive that it can cover the mountainside, if not the whole entire mountain. She is the largest living organism in the world. Unlike a tree, her roots can run for miles and miles, and they're all connected to each other. If you see her in the fall, she's something to behold. Rolling down the mountainside, a tapestry of wonder and awe. Her leaves are yellow, golden, orange, and slightly red. For thousands of years, the aspen has perfected the process of regenerating herself as a clone. With the naked eye, you're looking at millions of leaves covering the mountainside. But in actuality, you're seeing a carbon copy of the same leaf, a carbon copy of the same branches. And if you dug her up, the roots themselves would be identical. What I'm saying in the flesh, I need you to see this in the spirit, that when Satan was planted into this earth through the process of regeneration, he has generated himself 1,000 times over. The kingdom of Satan was never meant to multiply. This is why he used trickery and smoke and mirrors and illusions to baffle and trick the saints. Every demonic spirit is a copy of itself. It's not spirits, it's plural, it's spirit. In other words, there's not a billion alcoholic spirits in this world, there's just one. There's not a billion mental illnesses in this world, there's just one. There's not a billion homeless people in this world, there's just homelessness. There's not a billion addicts in this world, it's just one. There's not a billion problems in this world, it's just one. Because you don't have the spirit of Joshua, you'll never understand Jericho. You can't possibly understand what I just said. In order for you to understand what I just said, you will need 4 Bibles, a Ouija board, a Catholic priest, a Protestant priest, a Baptist minister, and a Pentecostal priest to explain to you what I just said. Now I feel like being heavy. You so far away from God that your eyes are so heavy, your eyes are so dull that you no longer see spiritual things. When you pass by a liquor store, you might see 5 or 10 of them congregating. But if God see fit and remove the scales off your eyes, you will realize there's only one alcoholic standing there. Let me impart this into your spirit. As long as you see them as alcoholics, as long as you see them as druggies, as long as you see them as mentally depraved, as long as you see them as those people, as long as you carry that type of judgment, you will never see spiritual things. And you will never be meat for the kingdom. I'm reminded that there was a blind man in the city of Bethsaida, and the people ushered Jesus to heal him. And Jesus led the man outside the city and spit in his eyes and asked the man, "What do he see?" And the man replied, "I see men as trees walking." Until you get this revelation, you will never see spiritual things, and you will never be meat for the kingdom. You really don't see it? You really don't understand it? That Jesus, being the son of a carpenter, took the wood out of this very same tree and fashioned himself a cross. And not only that, but he carried the cross, which symbolizes the burden of every addiction, of every alcoholic, of every depraved mind, and everybody that's caught up in a demonic spirit. Carried the cross all the way to Golgotha, where he died on the hill called Calvary. I remember being a kid in the Baptist church, and when the preacher hit the note, "He died on Calvary Mountain. He died for your sins. He died for my sins. He died for the sins of the world." There was always an old deacon sitting way in the back of the church, and he would yell out, "I thank God for the Roman soldier that pierced him in his side. Not only blood, but water. Not only blood, but water come running down his side." Jesus, being the true vine, the tender root of David, when the Roman soldier pierced him in the side, created an opportunity through the process of drafting that everybody on the outside of the tree can become part of the tree. There's no salvation outside the body. He said, "I am the true vine, and my Father." Physically, Jesus died on the cross, but spiritually, Apostle Paul put it this way: "The God of our fathers raised up Jesus, whom ye slay and hung on a tree." Once you drafted into this tree, there's no escaping. Once you drafted into this tree, you drafted into the burdens of Jesus. Once the Spirit quickened you, you soon realized that you carrying the same cross that Jesus carried. Not for the sins of this world, not for salvation, but for the burden of humanity. I am my brother's keeper. What is humanity if it's not in this tree? Every alcoholic is in this tree. Every addict is in this tree. Everybody that's wrestling with a demonic spirit is in this tree. No one is exempt and no one can escape her shadow. Jesus said, my Father is the husbandman. Every branch in me that beareth not fruit, he taketh away. And every branch in me that beareth fruit, he purgeth. All I'm talking about is a tree that has many branches, and them branches have branches, and those branches have branches, and they continue to grow. I'm talking about the branches of addiction, the branches of alcoholism, the branches of mental illness. You'll never get this revelation until you become part of this tree. You'll never get this revelation until you become a tree hugger. Next time you're driving down the road, you need to jump out of your car, run up to the nearest tree and hug that tree and say, I thank God for the Roman soldier. I thank God for the Roman soldier that pierced him in his side. Not only the blood, but the water. Not only the blood, but the water. I wish you could see what I see. I wish you could hear what I hear. I hear the blood saying, Zacchaeus, because you got this revelation, salvation is coming to your house. I'ma sup with you and you go sup with me. The Bible said Zacchaeus heard that Jesus was coming. He climbed the tree. And Jesus was afar off, saw him standing in the tree. And Jesus said, Zacchaeus, today's salvation is coming to your house. There's no salvation outside the body. I spent over 30 years of my life as an alcoholic, and yes, I'm a branch of this tree. And for many years, I tried under my own strength to get out of this tree. Getting out of this tree wasn't the answer. I cried out to God, and once he pricked my heart, I became like Zacchaeus, and I climbed up the tree a little higher. All I'm saying is if you dealing with addiction, if you dealing with mental illness, if you dealing with any kind of affliction, just stay in the tree. I hear the Spirit and the blood. I hear the Spirit and the blood. Not only the Spirit, but I hear the blood say, if you stay in the tree, no souls will be lost. If you stay in the tree, salvation belongs to you. If you stay in the tree, he'll come sup with you and you can come sup with him. If you stay in the tree, just stay in the tree. My final thoughts. I created this podcast to help the addicts that felt like they was beyond redemption, to help the addicts that felt like nobody truly understood where they was coming from. I hear you loud and clear, and I know where you're coming from because we speak the same language. But until we meet again, if you don't have kind words for anybody, learn to speak easy to yourself.
Thanks for listening. We are so glad you've connected with us today. We are not only here to encourage you, but to offer you resources and solutions. See our website, speakeasyphilosophy.com, for a coaching program designed to assist the alcoholic in their road to recovery. We would love to help. You can also find us on social media by searching the Speakeasy Philosophy Podcast. Check back weekly for new episodes. Until next time, with love, speak easy to yourself.
Share of addictions and battles to overcome, and everything happens for a reason, but I'm stronger now that I won. This is Speakeasy Philosophy. It's a journey to recovery for you and me. Silent.